Solar doesn't suck. It doesn't need to suck. It doesn't have to suck. The company they went with either grew too big or are just terrible, terrible people.
If I could give 0 stars, I would. Hiring to install solar panels has turned into one of the worst decisions I've ever made as a homeowner.
As more and more people explore alternative clean energy and cost savings in Illinois, companies are looking to take advantage.
They charged me way higher than what the rep and I had put in the agreement. They damaged my yard, broke up my cement, left it like that for several months, and they still have not come back.
We are the only solar experts and consultants in the area, and very few of them really exist across the country.
We know what the hell we're talking about. We've done it, we see how it works. All this is meant to be is information for you guys to make smarter decisions and not get screwed over by these companies that we are trying to oh so desperately counter. We're gonna get into the nitty-gritty and the underside and show you what's out there to be seen about how other companies operate and what we do. You can take the 20 seconds and read the reviews. You'll know exactly who we're talking about.
Welcome to the 28th episode of the Solar Power Hour. My name is William Grant.
And I lost them bare.
Combined, we have over 10 years of solar experience, and we have some fun new things for you today. We're adding 2 segments to our podcast.
Yes, welcome everyone. Thank you for enduring 28 grueling episodes with us. We're going to keep on trucking. Again, the sun doesn't stop coming up, so we're not going to stop going either. But some cool things to introduce in terms of, just different concepts that we want to bring to you guys, the viewers, just a kind of different way to keep you guys updated, frequently asked questions, and just, again, as always, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and the underside and, help you guys do a little bit of independent research and just kind of show you what's out there to be seen about how other companies operate and what we do.
Absolutely. So one of the segments we're going to do is a FAQ segment where we're going to be answering your questions. People have submitted this through the podcast, through comments. Beyond that, Google and YouTube, just the most frequently asked questions. So we're going to answer a few of those per episode. You want to tell them about the other one? Because that was my favorite.
Yeah, so we're going to start reading reviews from other solar companies without mentioning any specifically by name, but we're going to really show you the experiences and the undertakings that other customers that we have not necessarily had the ability to serve. First and foremost, we kind of, with all the service calls that we're getting, we have to look at what these other companies are doing and what their practices are. And so, again, we don't expect you guys to reach into the deep, dark corners of the internet and read every review possible out there, but what we can do is highlight some experiences that other customers have had from other companies that have come through, Central Illinois and are here in the Midwest still. And so, again, just to kind of be able to show you guys, our reputation versus others. And again, we stand on what we do, and there's a lot of principle here, or lack thereof, when you start looking into other companies. And so we're just going to bring that to your guys' attention.
Absolutely. Yeah. And following on the same level of aggression we've had in our last couple of videos, we are really tired of what the industry is seeing. We're tired of what clients are seeing. And we want to give that reputation to you, right? Like, without naming names, but showing you what people go through with these other companies and why it's important for you, the consumer, to do your research. Or check on the company that you have already. At the end of the day, if they are struggling, it'll show through the reviews and their reputation online. And so it could be a good indicator that you might need to start doing your own research to find a company that might be able to fulfill on the warranty side of things, as well as the upkeep and maintenance. I guess let's start off with some new news that we learned recently. So is that 7% of our power consumption across the U.S. is currently being done by AI data centers and data centers in general. 7% of all the U.S.'s population. That is insane. They were already to that level, and it's just rapidly increasing more and more. It seems like every other bit of news is about some kind of AI data center or some kind of something.
What's the one? Is it in Jubilee here? Or Joliet, I'm sorry. It's going to be the largest data center of its kind here in the United States. And that's just in our own backyard here in Illinois. And again, the further down south you go, we've got a buddy that works down in Texas, and he's consumed by AI data centers and what they're pushing on their grid down there. So, we're just 1 out of 50 states, but unfortunately it's, coast to coast right now. We're seeing the effects of it. And so again, if you're not happy with what you've been seeing with your current Ameren bill or rates, buckle up, because it's definitely not about to get any easier over the next 5 to 10 years as all these things really start to, show up. I mean, they're already showing up now, but as these data centers continue to be built, I feel like is when we're really going to get slammed with it.
Yeah, I feel the same. At the end of the day, too, that one in Joliet he's talking about is going to be using the same amount of power as every single residential house in Peoria combined, which is crazy, right? Like, that's a ton of power in one little area. Beyond that, there's some other news that came out recently, or an article that was published. It's more of a prediction, really. But one of the predictions that is out there is that in the ComEd territory, or northern Illinois, that they could be experiencing doubling their power consumption in the next 15 years, so by 2040. So imagine doubling every bit of power that's used in upstate Illinois in 14 years. It took us however many years since Illinois has been founded to get to this point of power consumption. And now we're going to double it in 15 years. I mean, you talk about exponential increase.
Well, and again, I guess the parallel I think about is just the technology advance or technological advancements that, and not to get deep on this here historically, but, throughout civilization, we've always had advancements, but in the last 100 years or so, the amount of technological advancements that we've rapidly induced to human civilization, it is really, again, I mean, it's a gradual and then exponentially over the last 100 years. And so I just feel like this is you could almost draw a very easy parallel with what we're doing with our power. It's been relatively, plateaued, going up ever so lightly. And then again, I would say over the last 50 years or so, we have the amount of power that we've put on, or the pressure that we put on our grid, and now we're going to double, triple, quadruple that as we put up these AI data centers. It's going to get so ridiculous, guys. And we're not fear mongers. We are, again, same thing we were saying 5 years ago have come to fruition today. So, we don't have a crystal ball, but damn it, we kind of have an idea of what's going to happen here come to the future.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that a little bit, because when you're talking about doubling the consumption of power, that doesn't just mean putting up new power plants, right? If you're talking about doubling the consumption over 15 years, you then have to upgrade the lines, upgrade the substation, run more lines, bigger lines, different lines. So there's a ton of infrastructure cost that goes into that as well. It's not just simple as putting in a nuclear station, right? Everything has to be sized appropriately, and then also the employment force, right? If you're going to be doubling the power production in an area in 15 years, good odds are you're probably gonna have to double the employment force to keep up with that. So that's more payroll, more expensive costs for the power company. And then I guess my little end of this, and my biggest concern with the state of Illinois, is that there's more people moving out of the state of Illinois that are moving into it. So when you talk about these AI data centers, this, that, and the other, you're not talking about we're spreading this out over millions and millions of people that are moving here and new construction's being done. You're spreading out this increase in consumption, this increase of cost to a very few big companies and big manufacturing companies, but us as the consumers of power on the residential side, we're still gonna have to split that bill to some cost or degree.
Right. Nope. And again, guys, if you don't believe us, look at your Ameren bill now and go back to the state and local taxes and other mandated charges. It's on the back page. And I dare you to look at your bill from 5 years ago, and I dare you to look at your bill today. They're only going to continue to include more provisions as time progresses. And so whether we want to or not, we are the ones paying for all this infrastructure change. I believe it's about, $11 to $12 billion in terms of all the projects that they have coming down the pipeline. So again, guys, welcome to Illinois. We're low enough on the totem pole that I feel like we can't do anything except educate ourselves and try and be as proactive on it as possible. And I'll say that to the end of days, that's all that solar and batteries and our services are. It's being proactive, or as proactive as possible, as opposed to being reactive. Unfortunately, I feel like we're in the part where the whole state's just in the reactive, you know what I mean? Like we're all feeling the effects of it now. So it's all reactionary at this point. But again, we have had so much of an influx of calls of people that have lived in their home for 10, 20 years, never seen a power bill that's been $400, $500, $600. We're now getting bills with commas in them. And we made that t-shirt as a joke a while back. And it's, we're not trying to make this stuff come true, but damn it, it just kind of keeps happening. And again, California's already really gone through it. And I hate to see what their rates are going to do now with all the data centers. They were already, paying 3 times more than what we are here on average with PG&E. And so, sorry guys on the West Coast.
But yeah, so in other interesting news, we started a new program that we're rolling out, and CASA is our first cause that we're doing this for, but it's going to be called Solar for a Cause, or Solar for the Cause. We haven't decided yet. But the idea being that anybody that's a part of that organization or referred through that organization to us, we will be donating a portion of the proceeds of the project to that organization to help get more and more money to these causes that we believe in, which is really, really cool.
We've been a huge contributor with CASA for years now. My stepfather James is on the board. I mean, he helps really guide the whole thing. Shout out to Pam. We absolutely love you, Pam. Will, just for the viewers at home, because you got to give a cool speech last night and a little bit of a testimony there, but for the people that don't know what CASA is, do you want to kind of break down what that organization is and what they're about?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're court-appointing advocates for children in the court system, which is super important. A lot of them are in foster care or DCFS hands of some kind. And really the biggest thing that they do is go out once a month or twice a month, and just give a third-party perspective on what's going on in the household and what that child is feeling. And they try to remain as neutral as possible. That way they can give clear testimonials to the court system. So there's a whole training process, this, that, and the other. And if anybody out there is interested, by all means, hit up CASA. They have a phone number to call, website. And, you know, there's not too much of a time commitment on your side of things, but the benefit that that child gets to have throughout its life, knowing that someone was there to stand up for them and give them an honest perspective to the courts, it can change the trajectory of a child that then changes the trajectory of the world.
And there was people last night that, I mean, again, it was an appreciation dinner for a lot of the people that have been advocates for many years. And that was really cool to see people that have been doing it a decade plus. And I mean, like tons of kids were helped with just this one room of people alone. So again, anyone that is sent through us through that organization, again, we're giving $2,000 to CASA per, which again, be happy to do so. So it'd be very cool to see the effects of that as that continues to happen.
Yeah, so stay up to date. We're posting something about it on Facebook and this, that, and the other. But yeah, really nice. In other news, we have the SREC program in the state of Illinois actually just got a little bit of a bump, but it's going to work out a little differently. So for those who've been watching for a long time, you know how the SREC program works probably by now. They used to pay you up 15 years of your power production up front, which was awesome. But here's the kicker. Now we are getting a significant bump really in SREC pricing. I think it's like 30 to 40% in SREC pricing. And what they're going to do is they're going to pay you half up front and then half over 6 years in quarterly payments. So it'll be equal quarterly payments going forward in the next 6 years, which has got some up and down sides to it. We won't get into it too much of this episode, but the goal of that is to offset losing the tax credit. So they are really pushing for homeowners to still be able to own their own solar, still be able to take advantage of solar.
At the end of the day, if you're going to do a 15-year program, you're going to be in the house for hopefully 5 years. So it's going to make more sense. It makes sense either way. You're going to get the same amount. Actually, in this case, a little bit more money now with everything that we're able to take advantage of. Again, it's just a different payout schedule. Still not nearly as bad as what we had on the East Coast, so we'll gladly take it. But
absolutely,
it again, for what it's worth, I'm glad that we still have our incentives. There's so many other states that everything has been stripped away, and they sometimes get a $1,500 rebate for going solar, and that's it. So again, don't ever look at it in negative. It's always about perspective, but for what it's worth, everyone's getting more money through the Illinois Shines program.
Absolutely. And then with this time of the year right now, you know, it's 2026, towards the end of April, people are now starting to get their April bills and seeing how drastic it has changed when they turn on the HVAC system. So we've had a couple hot days. It's only going to get worse. So guys, keep us in mind. You know, we're not the end all be all. We might not be like, you're not going to save $1 million on your power, but every little bit helps when you're raising a family, when you're trying to be responsible and you're trying to save money. You know, at the end of the day, solar is a wonderful fit. We just got a bump in the SREC program. We still have the Ameren rebates and other incentives available for you. And you get to go with us, who's actually going to be around for the long term, unlike some of my local competitors who have either been here or are now moving in. So Austin, that kind of kicks us off into what we wanted to talk about today.
Oh boy. Well, we say want to, more so we're being forced to, but that's just how it goes. So I will just say this, if you're one of these other companies that's not from Peoria, please get out of my hometown. But again, I also welcome you, because what we've learned over the last few years very diligently is that other companies are our best advertisers at this point. We do a lot of marketing. We push ourselves, you know, independently, but for what it's worth, other companies and their lack thereof of professionalism, their install methodology, and just their, again, I'll say their very unaesthetic installs is what pushes us into the limelight. And your reviews and your reputations, we're going to dig into them a little bit, but that I truly appreciate it sometimes because of the amount of attention that it helps us, you know, put on our systems to differentiate ourselves. And so again, I say leave, but I'll welcome you because I know that you guys will be here for a short while and then you'll be gone.
Yep. So what are some of the things that they should look out for? What are some of the questions they should ask, Austin?
Well, it's always good to look at photos because, again, you can listen to someone as much as you want, but I always believe that hard evidence is always really going to be where bread and butter is at. And so we always ask for our customers to leave pictures of their reviews along with an actual written testimonial talking about the people they've worked with in the process. We've had the same project management team since the induction, so you'll see the same names very consistently. She might be the only person that's name is mentioned more than myself or some of the other people that started the company. And so for what it's worth, that consistency is huge. But in terms of physical product, whenever you're driving around, guys, if you walk or drive by a home and you just see Conduit running all across the roof left and right, there's a grade A sign that you either, hey, have a lazy electrician or a company that just does not care. And both of those are indicative of someone that you should not be doing business with. Alternatively, if your company's from the community, they give a hoot, and they're going to not only try and help you, but anyone else in your community that wants to do this, you're going to see a glaring difference in how that system is installed. We run Conduit internally. We put a windscreen on the bottom. We use true black on black panels. More importantly, the flashing that we use on your roof completely separates ourselves from damn near all the competitors. And even the way that we install the flashing, as significant of a detail as that is, that even if other companies use it, we have so many photos of other companies not installing it properly. And so as nitty gritty as we want to get into it, there's so many things that, again, guys, you could drive by a system and immediately know if we did it or not. And, you know, with what I just described, I wish I could just put photos up here and have them pop up.
Maybe Andrew can.
But yeah, that'd be kind of cool to do some live editing. But the point is that, again, Conduit, really one of the biggest ones, guys. If you're driving by a home and you see silver lining or a conduit going all across someone and around someone's roof, it is a grade A. I'm going to tell you right now, that is not our install. And I stand on that because that's something we take a lot of pride in. I understand your pain if you are one of those homeowners that lives in a neighborhood and every time you open your garage door or your front door and you walk outside, you have to look at your neighbor's disgusting install. I'm sorry. I apologize because I failed you and your neighbor because I did not get the opportunity to talk to them first. So for that, I will give you my apologies, and we'll probably end up having to serve them when their system needs help, regardless, here in the future. So we'll be around, but point is that just know that that is a glaring difference of our efforts. And so we literally work against that grain, guys. That is what we are trying to repair. We are the small guys fighting the big fight here, but do understand that those are the little details that we go out of our way to make sure that it's what you don't see more so than what you do see. And so again, as you drive around, please feel free to look at those things. And it's okay to ask questions. Feel free to ask people, well, how's your experience been with this company? You know, I noticed that it looks like this. How do you like it? Alternatively, when you see our system across the street, please ask us.
Absolutely. And, you know, being a part of the solar community and a lot of Facebook group chats and this, that, and the other, I see a lot of advertisements, and a lot of them are also recruiting advertisements. So some of the stuff I've seen recently is, you know, come to Central Illinois and you'll get paid XYZ amount. Well, these amounts are crazy, folks. Like, they are overpaying sales reps to go out there, get contracts signed, and a lot of times they don't even have someone to install it. So one of the things that's happened recently in the last week is a company called Freedom Forever has gone out of business. They did not typically market under Freedom Forever and sell up under Freedom Forever. Occasionally they did, but what happened was they were installers for other sales organizations around the country. So guys would go out, get a team together, start knocking on doors, sell a project, have this install company who was rather massive, really, install the project at a fixed cost. But what happens is these people get overpaid. Your rep is no longer invested into your project, because if you need an answer to a question, there's odds are he's already moved on to another sales organization, and it's hard to get a hold of the people who actually installed it. So with Freedom Forever going out of business, it is a very, very dark place for the industry. They have thousands and thousands of projects installed, hundreds and hundreds installed in our local area here in Peoria. The moment that happened, we actually had 4 calls in that same day about taking panels off and putting them back on because of the big storms that have come through, right? So with this company going out of business is bad news for everyone, especially the people that have gone with them, because a warranty is only as good as its company. If the company has gone out of business, there's no one there to help you. And with them having hundreds of installs in our local area, that is a very, very big concern for not only, the people out there, but also the reputation of solar as a whole, because those people are now going to go out and say, oh, my company went out of business. I don't know if I'm sure that I really wanted to go solar, if I appreciated going solar, this, that, and the other. So, be aware of new sales organizations coming in. I would say if you are listening to this and you're one of our newer competitors, this is a hard market to tap into, and people's bullshit meter is pretty high. And reputation is everything. So, people that have been here for quite some time still have, their feet dug in, are going to do well throughout this transition. And I think we talked about this last time on the podcast as well. The reason why they're moving in is with that tax credit going away around the country. Where's it going to go? Illinois is the best state in the union to go solar. And they have a state level incentive. They have power company incentive. So at the end of the day, what's happening is everyone's fleeing here, or they're going to life insurance or fiber optic sales, and leaving their customers high and dry. And one of the commitments you have from us as Sun Collectors is that we're here, we're gonna be here. We have Oasis Electric with a 30-year plan. We have all this lined out because we saw the storms coming.
Yep. I'm just had a customer text me today. I'm gonna read it just because I can, but this tickled my heart because this is what it's all about. You guys have been nothing but awesome through the whole install process, and now a few years later, still taking care of your customers. We're so glad we went with Sun Collectors. Thanks for the assistance. I didn't know what to do. But that's the type of stuff that keeps me going, and so I appreciate it, knowing that I'm from Peoria, guys, so this is my hometown. I know that we started it here first. We are carrying the torch and how to do this properly. And so, again, we are trying to set the standard and making sure that, we don't have the largest outreach. We are only here in Central Illinois, but that's the entire premise, is that if you're entertaining solar or batteries or anything in between, this should be your one-stop shop. And I cannot stress this enough, guys, that no other company is going to bend over backwards to serve the community the way that we're doing. And that's solar panels, the philanthropic engagement. There's a lot more to it than just, panels on a roof per se. It's the service and the value that comes in between, the professionalism, and just truly, I will say, caring. And I mean, the amount of times that we hear customers out, we have the hard conversation, and we're willing to own up to things. And it's just, there's so many things that as a company we have grown so much into. And I will say that is why our reputation is the way it is. That doesn't happen overnight. We've built this beautiful empire over years now, and it's such a name to be proud of in the community. People love, we are loved in this community. We worked very hard for that, and we're not going anywhere. But that is also, no other company can say to you as confidently the way that we're going to, that, hey, this will also tell you if it's not even a good fit for you. For the amount of companies that come in and just try and force up systems, we'll tell you if it's not even a good fit. So it's not fun to do that. But for what it's worth, guys, we're just trying to make sure it's done right. At the end of the day,
Even
as simple
if
as
it's a
that.
conversation, even if you don't pass the credit check, like this, that, and the other. Education's everything, right? It's the foundation of our business. Solar shouldn't be based on sleazy sales tactics and manipulation and word play, essentially.
Right.
Running circles around people is what I call it. But, at the end of the day, it should be information. You should be able to make an educated decision by the end of your consultation. And I don't know if we talked about this yet, but yeah, we are working on rebranding Sun Collectors and changing that up a little bit. We'll always be Sun Collectors, but just a little bit of rebranding, because in our opinion, in our humble opinion, we are the only solar experts and consultants in the area. And very few of them really exist across the country that can lay out and compare apples to apples instead of oranges to oranges to apples, right? So at the end of the day, we are the consultants, and we are going to continue to be the consultants in the future. As things change, as there's more and more information to go over, the only thing that really changes is how long our consultations are. They're no longer an hour and super simple. Now it's like 2 to 3 hours to completely understand batteries, how they operate, this, that, and the other. So again, we consider ourselves consultants. We don't consider ourselves salespeople. That's not just wordplay or to make people feel good on the other end of the camera. It's really, really what we do is consultations.
And that's, again, guys, it doesn't have to be anything grueling. Make dinner for us. We'll make it pretty easy for you. But for what it's worth, guys, again, Will's correct. It's all about education. We're there to answer your questions. And for what it's worth, it's not rocket science. It is just numbers. And that's kind of the nice part about it, is you don't have to, get too fancy with it. But with the incentives and everything that's available right now, it's very fun to be able to sit down. And most people are even if they don't end up doing it, they're still very, there's awesome information out there, and they know 2 or 3 people that do want to do it. And so there's never a missed opportunity there, guys. So,
Yep.
well,
Before we get into that, so talking about referrals, and we talked a little bit about our ambassador program. So there'll be a link to our ambassador program in this episode. If you are a current client and would like to be an ambassador of ours, it's actually a really cool deal. One of the things you get to do is get a dinner every quarter, paid for by us, Sun Collectors, as well as we do a webinar to keep you completely up to date on everything that's happening in the industry that could be portrayed to a friend, neighbor, family member, or what have you. And the dinners are just really cool because this is a passion project of ours. It's not really to make a ton of money, but the idea is that my cool clients, my best clients, I want to get them in a room and become friends with my other best clients. Like the people that really believe in the mission and what we do and the levels to our company that are above and beyond just being a solar company on paper. Like those people getting together in one room and hanging out and having a good time and getting fed and this, that, and the other. And there's also perks. So the biggest perk to the ambassador program is after you get 10 referrals that go solar through you, you actually get sent on a trip anywhere in the world. We covered to $4,000. You can book it out as long as you want. If you book out a trip a year from now to Greece, you could probably go pretty damn far with $4,000. So cool stuff, extra little incentives throughout the year, extra little gift bags, gift packages. And
so that's on top of all the other referral bonuses that we give you, the checks that we give you for the referrals as well. So quite literally, you're going to have 4 or 5 figures that you can go on a trip to literally anywhere. So again, quite literally life-changing experience that we're wanting to send any of our ambassadors or people that we believe in. And that's just one thing that we do. I also want to bring up, just while we're talking about community engagement, I want to give a shout out to Gebby's on War Memorial. We just had our recent Tipping Big event, which was awesome. Thank you to everyone that showed up for that. We had a great turnout. The server was amazing. But for anyone that's interested, and again, just to keep planting those seeds for the Tipping Big community, please check out our Facebook page for that. We want people to be active and engaged. What we do is, again, every month we find a local restaurant. We really want it to be a blessing, someone that's been there for, just a server that truly could appreciate it and has been putting in the time and the hours. but everyone tips $100 cash individually at the end of it. And it truly, again, you get 15 to 25 to 35 people. It's always life-changing money, and it's really cool. It's just a blessing to be able to bestow upon people. So if that's something you'd like to be involved in, there could never be enough people that come to it. The more the merrier. No one's ever upset whenever they get tipped out $100 by every single person in their section. They're always overwhelmed at first whenever we show up, but then by the end of it, we're their favorite table the entire week. So point is that we would love for you guys to be involved with that. That's the whole point of you guys listening to this, to be involved. We're part of the community. You're part of the community. Come hang out with us. Come tip your server. But join the Facebook page, because I don't know if do we know where the next one's at?
I'm not sure. I think it's Tom Lynn. I know that.
Okay.
But
We'll have details on that on the Facebook page.
yeah, join the Tipping Bigfoot community Facebook page for sure. Yeah, and it is a wonderful event, right? Like, you get to change someone's life. You get to see the raw emotion and acts of kindness. I don't know about you, Austin, but they seem like they're becoming rare and rare in the world, and especially as the economy's changing and people's giving is changing. But yeah, it's just a wonderful way to show out for everybody once a month. So yeah, please, by all means, show up. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we get into our awesome new segments? I feel like there's so much, but
I was gonna say there's always next week, the next episode. If we can't think of anything exactly, I feel like we could sit here all day and talk about
how bad
solar. Yes,
how bad it is, how good it is, how everything is.
So I guess we'll start with, since we're talking about the companies coming in, I guess we'll get into this. So again, we're going to leave the company names out of these reviews, guys, but I'm going to go through a couple different companies that, for what it's worth, if anyone's looked into solar here through Central Illinois, I can almost say that you've definitely ran into one or two of these names. And so these are not unfamiliar companies by any means, but these are true testimonials from people that have gone with them.
So welcome to whatever segment we're going to call this. We're going to have some catchy, cool name, but let's call it review right now. Reviews review.
Solar sins or something. But so, yeah, I mean, this one just starts off all capitals. Don't do it. If I could give 0 stars, I would. Hiring this blank to install solar panels has turned into one of the worst decisions I've ever made as a homeowner. Their installation caused multiple leaks inside my home, damaging several rooms and creating a massive headache that never should have happened. What's even worse is the poor workmanship and their complete lack of accountability. I reached out repeatedly, provided photos, documented the leaks, and asked for someone to come fix the problems they caused, and they have done absolutely nothing. No urgency, no responsibility, no solution, just excuses and silence. It has been over 2 months. A company that performs sloppy work is bad enough, but a company that refuses to stand behind their installation and leaves a homeowner with water damage and repair bills is unacceptable. If you value your home, your time, your sanity, do not use this company. I'm stuck dealing with the repairs on my own now because they will not lift a finger to make this right. Save yourself the frustration and choose literally anyone else. How does that make you feel, Will?
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, that's something that's all too common, right? When you have people who are not properly trained going up there on top of the roof to install the project, if you're not using the appropriate material for the weather conditions that you're in, or if you're just doing a haphazard job, and really it just comes down to training and the attention to detail. And what's more concerning for me, folks, isn't necessarily the bad install, because, you know, mistakes happen, things happen. You get a new employee, maybe they're just lying about whatever and making mistakes, right? But it's how they handled it after, right? 2 months of just not going out there and not getting, like, there are quick solutions to leaks, right? Like, you can know that you're gonna have to replace a bunch of shingles, go out there and just silicone the crap out of everything and just try to get the man's roof to stop leaking. But there's just a lack of response, a lack of attentiveness by the property, or the management team, or the project management team.
And again, just talking about the aesthetic of it too, and it comes across as sloppy, and so that's it. There's so many different glaring holes in their armor here. Here's another good one. We were hopeful. That's always a fun one to start off, just knowing that people were hopeful. And guys, this is where we say we're trying to repair the reputation of solar. There's so many people that have lived through this now, and they've told their friends, their family, their loved ones not to do this because of these experiences. And they are true. So it's not as if that we can never shy away from this, but what we can do is acknowledge it, be better than it, and show people why we're better than it. So again, this isn't fun for us to necessarily read, but it's also way less fun for people that unfortunately have had to go through this. So we're going to, give them their due here. We were hopeful, but we have run into nothing but issue after issue. The installation was okay. It took months to actually get the install, but things happened. They said they were running the wires through the attic. Instead, they ran it up our wall and across the home. After they did this, they drilled 2 holes in our home and to run that through the attic, in our house to run it through the attic. After they had already ran the piping on the outside, they then sealed it with gray putty over our white siding. Nothing was said. Then came the breaker box fix. It took 11 to fix, 11 hours of no power of 2 small children. We heard all we heard coming from the basement was YouTube tutorials, so that was promising. Whoa, we do not have power ran to half our basement or our front porch. This was corrected by the gentleman, I'll leave his name out, who was nothing short of kind, amazing, and patient. So shout out to that guy who might have cared a little bit there, who told us he had heard stories about the install of our breaker box. He was unable to determine where the wires were to or where our porch went. It is now November, and we have not had power there since August 11th. They sent out another electrician who said they could not determine what had happened. During the installation of the breaker box, they had to drill out a hole in our brick foundation. This was not corrected until mid-November, which means we had a decently large hole in our home just above the ground level for over 2 months. This was not documented by anyone. So when I called and sat on hold for hours with their call center, they were very confused as to what I was talking about. Point to be made there, we do not have a call center. We have Oasis Electrics, Unflectors, your personal rep, the people that sign you up, and your project managers. Quite literally a huge point with our entire process is that you have humans that you have direct access to the entire line of the way. And it's not just one person, there's quite literally 4, 5, 6 people that you have direct access to. That is always one of our biggest proponents of is just communication. We don't have to talk every single day, but if you ever have questions, you will always have answers, and it's as simple as that. You cannot find these are all 5 to 6 long paragraph stanza reviews. We have nothing reflective of this. The siding is still not fixed. We still do not have power to our front porch. The breaker box was not done correctly and was documented as such by a third-party electrician. All of this, and we still are unable to use the solar panels. The installation for solar panels began in June. It has been a fight to get anything corrected, and it's been a fight to get anyone to respond to a text message, a phone call, or an email. And calling the call center guest results in obscenely long wait times. All in all, we are beyond disappointed with this experience and will never recommend this company to anyone. That was 4 months ago, so that was this year.
Yeah, and there's so much that goes wrong, right? And that's one of the things we see in the solar industry, especially in Illinois. Illinois has very strict codes, and they're getting stricter on the city level, county level, but beyond that, on the power company side of things with Ameren, they are very, very particular about how we do our install and bringing things up to code if we're pulling an electrical permit. So what does that mean? It means you need qualified, good electricians to then go upgrade the breaker boxes to do the install appropriately, and also talented ones who are willing to run the conduit through the house to make it look clean and make it look sexy, right? You know, our big thing is make solar look as sexy as we possibly can, not only for the people that we install it for, but for their neighbors as well. Like, we don't want people hating solar. And again, just to echo Austin here for a second, we're not, again, the reason why we're keeping everything off the books, not talking about the company name, this, that, and the other, even though, you know, a lot of them do know who they are.
As I say, most of you guys know. If anyone cares about solar enough or has looked into it, you can take the 20 seconds and read the reviews. You'll know exactly who we're talking about.
Yeah, but the idea is that these are real problems that real people are experiencing in our community. And this is everything we've been trying to avoid for the last 7 years, right? We will take on as many projects as we can handle. And if we can't handle one, we will let you know. But we want you to come to us, trust us with your install, so you're not running into this. And yes, it may be 1 out of every 20 people this happens to, or 1 out of 50, whatever that may be. But in our opinion, that's still too many. Like, the communication aspect and the answering call center aspect, that's just crazy to me. Are you switching? Yeah, you got it.
Yep, I got a different company here. So do not go with this company for any type of solar. The worker told me I can cancel it at any time and kept guaranteeing me, but I never really paid attention. It was all a lie. They damaged my yard, broke up my cement, left it like that for several months, and they still have not come back. They broke my back door, accusing me that I broke it, and then they put boxes too close to the door that was the causing of it to break. It took them several months to come back, but they actually did fix my door, and my whole backyard is still in a complete state of chaos. So love to hear that. And I guess what I hear a lot in these is uncertainty, which is really...
Oh, I mean, what I heard there was a subscription model, right? So their person told them they could cancel anytime, like what they're saying in some of these ads that are getting posted out there. Like, subscribe to solar like you subscribe to Netflix or Amazon or this, that, and the other. That's the freaking problem, guys. Like, if you think you're going to put all those holes in your roof and do all this electrical work, and they are just going to let you off the hook anytime to cancel, you got another thing coming.
This one's a little bit longer, but I feel like this one's pretty real, and I'm going to go ahead and read it because you guys are here listening to the Solar Power Hour, so check it out. Blank sold me on their ability to help me with the rising cost of energy. At first, I thought I was getting into a great deal, but it turned out they're in it for themselves, and as a customer You are trapped. That is an intense word to use as a feeling of a customer, to be trapped in something. It started from day one of my contract. The first bill I received, they charged me way higher than what the rep and I had put in the agreement. After months back and forth, they refused the honor to the original agreement. So the rep, knowing that this was unethical, actually paid me the difference for 5 years out of his own pocket. Parentheses, I can prove all of this. Then about 1.5 years in, yep, my system went down for over a month. When they finally got someone out there, it took them 7 hours to fix it. The maintenance person told me he had to wait on a part. So in my driveway for 2 hours until at one point he got what he needed, fixed the system. I lost a month's worth of credits and had to not only pay for the month, but the local energy provider several $100s for using their service, which comes with an upcharge because I'm a solar customer. There's the icing on the cake. In late January of this year, when my system was down, I called them and couldn't get anyone out for over a month and a half. Awesome service there. So guess who was paying 2 bills again and an upcharge and a off summer hours fee with the local provider? This guy. I asked them if they would credit me and they said no, when they are required to maintain the system. My system is overbuilt. I don't get credits when they do their yearly fake credit payout, which, by the way, I suspect, in my opinion too, is used to sell you but never pay you. My electric bill shows that I generated more kilowatts per hour than I use every month, but for some reason I don't have enough to make it through the winter. Now I'm paying an electric company several $100s. Do not go with blank. Do not believe all the reviews. Message me. I will show you proof of everything I'm saying here, and you can save yourself a ton of headache. They don't care about the customer, just the dollars coming off you and your roof, and they will not share the rewards with anyone. They had a total 2025 revenue reaching approximately about $2.96 billion to $3 billion, with a 45% year-on-year increase on the roofs of people who trusted them.
Wow. First thing that comes to mind is, holy crap, man, they got put through the ringer. At the end of the day, unfortunately, this is all too common, and I think I got a fun name for the thing. I don't know, just shooting an idea at you, Austin, but like, why other solar companies make our job so damn hard? Segment of the podcast, because that's really what it is. Like, why other companies screw up the reputation of solar, or why whatever. It doesn't really matter what we put in there, but this is what we're seeing. This is why your neighbors are saying that solar sucks, so don't go with solar, this, that, and the other. And what we're trying to correct here, folks, is the classification of solar. Solar doesn't suck. It doesn't need to suck. It doesn't have to suck. The company they went with either grew too big or are just terrible, terrible people, or mean well and are not qualified, right? So it's not that solar sucks, it's that company. They had a bad experience with that company. If they would have gone with us, yes, we do have delays and service time sometimes. Like, we're not always on every day.
Human, guys. But it's not.
And things change. Like in December last year, we needed to get so many people installed with a tax credit that like we had to put some service stuff off, but we tried to be as communicative as possible to our clients so they know that's what's going on, not running to call centers and getting people from different countries on the phone, because that's unacceptable from where we are.
And big philosophy that our company genuinely takes on. It's not if a problem occurs, it's how it's handled that makes the difference. And I feel like most people that are in a project management position or any sort of hospitality, anything with service, they understand where I'm coming from. Shit happens, guys. This is with projects of this nature and magnitude, there's always going to be a hurdle or two that has to be jumped over. But if you acknowledge that, are willing to work with us and be communicated or have communication with us, there's nothing too big or too small that we cannot overcome. And that, again, is why we are still here and will continue to be here where so many other companies have failed. But again, it does take people just to be understanding, but also there's always a solution. What I've learned in my hard-headedness over the years of me doing this is that if you are willing to take a step back, breathe for a second, 99% of the time there's a solution that can be found. It just takes a little bit of cooperation. But again, that is the whole point of our reputation. Is far more important to us than someone getting screwed over on a system that they're never going to benefit from. That does no one any net positive of good. And again, I take so much pride in our reputation because we work so hard to maintain it and to create what we have. I wouldn't sleep well at night if I had just, this was what our, what people knew us for.
Absolutely. And one of the funny things too, not funny, Austin, but a lot of these companies that we're going to be doing this review segment about are doing leases and power purchase agreements. So like they're getting this piss poor quality of follow through or fixing problems or service or install, and they're making 3 times more net profit than I am as a solar company. They're making so much more money hand over fist than we are because we only do ownership, right? And we talked about that in other episodes, how much money is generated to a company because of leasing and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, like that's the sad part. Like they're getting lazier, they're cutting corners, they're getting cheaper, but they're also making more money. And I think that last review that you read well defines that.
And guys, we've talked about this on other episodes. We're just reading reviews of people that we're looking up online right now. We go to the Riverman games, the Chiefs games, the community events. We have more face-to-face testimonials every year of people coming up to us and expressing their negative experiences with these other companies that have got them binded in a lease or PPA. To read the word trapped, again, language is powerful, guys. That word trapped is really resonating with me right now because that's
But then it is. It's a 30-year commitment. It's a 25-year commitment. Solar is not something that you just make a split-second decision and you never have to worry about again. It's an operating piece of technology.
But that's just the complete opposite feeling that we're trying to instill in customers. We get that you're making an investment, and people sometimes that is something that can be harder or easier to overcome. But I genuinely believe that everyone does see the value after months, years of like the dust always settles, and always for the better. To feel trapped being 3 years into a system and to write a review like this, that's a very helpless feeling. And so knowing that these companies do everything in their power to, until legal action is truly presented. There was one company that we talked about where the old lady that had signed up with them had passed away, and they wouldn't cancel her contract until her family took it to the local news. And for the love of God, I couldn't even imagine trying to have that type of operation. Right. So it just, again, guys, what we would consider basic decency and just our standard practices, unfortunately, or I will say fortunately, or unfortunately, I guess contextually, it can work both ways here, but it puts us above 98% of our competitors. There's a few companies out there that we know of that there are, guys, they're not, like not every company out there is just the devil by any means. We do know some personally. There are good guys out there fighting the good fight, but they are so few and far between because there's an easy way to do things and there's a right way to do things. Sun Collectors foundationally has stayed away from the easy way. It's always the right way. But again, time and time, and we were talking about the equipment, easy way to do equipment, run conduit on the outside, and then have people be pissed about it from the day that their system gets installed. From the day that your system gets installed, you're not happy with it because of how it looks. And now, concept just to think about, if you can be that dissatisfied with things that you can see, imagine how many corners were cut on the inside of things that you can see that are probably not up to par. And so guys, if they're willing to do something as lazy as conduit all across the roof, God knows they're going to probably fall short in other aspects of the system install as well.
Absolutely. One last thing, folks, on why we're shitting on other companies because they're terrible. I got you. But one last thing is, we had a customer call, a potential client call in recently. We can't work on lease systems. Like if you have a lease and you need help, unfortunately, you do not own that system. You do not have the right to tell us to do so. But we had something interesting happen recently. So somebody called up and said, hey, look, my leasing company actually told me, or the people that installed it actually told me that I could get anybody to work on that system. I'm not going to touch that, right? Because if I go out there and they wired up something wrong and I'm on the whole opposite end of the system fixing something, and then the entire system burns the house down, who are they going to sue? Who's the big company going to sue? And then the homeowner and everybody else. I'm not touching something unless you own it as the client. But it's kind of crazy to me, Austin, in talking about practices of companies, that a company would say, yeah, you can just have anybody go work on our system when you're still in business. When do you think you would want to maintain and work on your own system yourself? That way you knew what happened before, you knew what's going to happen after. And isn't that part of your workmanship warranty? And especially if they're leasing the system, shouldn't they make sure that it's up and operational because they're the ones who are getting the lease payment?
Again,
it seems kind of crazy to me.
There's just a lot of false promises made. And again, I mean, I've learned so much in this industry, and for what it's worth, the more questions people can ask, the better. And I will say that I love going up against other companies whenever I'm the third or fourth person that I've talked to, because the glaring differences I'm able to show, and you can see people have that eureka moment where they're like, we knew that there was something better out there. We figured that there was a way that this could make sense and we could feel confident about it. But I love being told that, because I know that we don't have to try and put on a mask or, wave things around that aren't, we're not trying to pull anything over anyone's eyes here. The transparency is what allows us to truly speak with this conviction, because we know what the hell we're talking about. We've done it, we see how it works. We know Peoria's market and this process better than anyone else. All these guys that are coming in from out of state or not from our area are gonna be 2 years behind just on learning how to actually work in this community. And it's just, again, we've got the bruises, we've got the scars, we've earned the stripes, but also that's, again, the way we're sitting here telling you how it is. And that's, hopefully it falls on some ears. I'm sure there's some people that will still think that, the sun is a lie and it doesn't work, but hey, there's other people that are tired of feeling the pain of their power bill.
Absolutely. So moving on to another new segment, the FAQ portion. Solar FAQ will come up with some cute, clever name. Awesome. But these are the questions that the community wants to know, right? These are the questions that people like yourself want to know. So if you have a question and you're out there listening right now, please put it in the comment section of any of our broadcasting platforms. That way we can answer your questions and give you a shout out on the podcast as well. Well, Austin, you want to take the first one? How much does a typical residential solar system cost in the state of Illinois?
Yep. And so a couple different options there. I would say between 40 to 60K. And, you can throw 1 to 2 batteries on there. There's different options depending on how many kids you got running around, leaving your damn lights on. So we can always, everything's always catered directly to your home. There is no cookie cutter system, but easy parameter, 40 to 60. Beautiful part is that you're getting anywhere from 60 to 90% of that damn thing subsidized. So it doesn't matter if it's a low end, high end, if you're a farmer with, a massive system, I do not care how much power you're using. What I'm going to 100% be able to show you is that you will spend far less based off the net cost of your system as compared to staying with Ameren and not doing anything. Again, it is your money, but please allow me to make it make sense for you. But again, really a cool way of thinking about it as well is if you can afford to pay your Ameren bill, you can afford to pay for solar because the payments and how everything is structured currently, if you're looking at a $200 to $300 to $400 a month power bill for Ameren, congratulations, you can afford to go solar because I'm not going to show you an $800 a month power bill. I'm going to show you something incredibly comparable to what you're paying now, as opposed to your higher rates that you're going to have this summer and the next year, 2, 3, forever.
Yeah, and there's a couple ways to think about that. Typical residential system cost, return on investment. Businesses, it's 1 to 5 years. Residential, it's,
Say 4 to 7.
Yeah.
And then with everything, with power rates going up, you're
Right.
easily closer. You can mitigate a lot off of that as well.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, folks, we're in the state of Illinois. We get a substantial amount less of sunshine. So yes, it is a high price tag, but when you break it down to that monthly payment, you're already paying the same for Ameren. Switch over, get 6 years of payment from the state. You get these big checks from the power company. And at the end of the day, your power rates will double here shortly. All right, Austin, what's my question? Pick it randomly.
Oh, well, this is a fun one. Can a house run 100% on solar?
Yes, a house can run 100% on solar, but there are a lot of things that go into that. So again, I'm glad I just said we live in the state of Illinois because we do. So running a house on solar in the middle of winter when your panels are covered in snow will be very, very challenging. You would need massive battery setups. You would need to clear the snow off the panels. You would need consistent sunshine. You might be without power for a small amount of time. And then let's talk about the summertime as well. Even though your power production is pretty high in the summer with the solar, if you have a couple of rainy days and it's still really warm outside, your HVAC is going to be kicking. So you're going to need a ton of batteries. Now, when I see that question, my head goes to off-grid systems, right? And when you're in an off-grid system, it's the same thing as like your power goes out and your generator kicks on. You're not going to run your whole house. You're going to have a cabin out in the woods, a couple of lights, maybe an AC unit just in one room to feel comfortable.
Right.
Like you have to make those sacrifices if you're going to go completely off grid. As far as offsetting 100% of your power and getting that cost returned to you and being an equal swap for swap, unfortunately, that program has gone away in a lot of bit of Illinois. There is still a power company down in Springfield that has a one-to-one net metering program, meaning that any power you would overproduce, that wouldn't go back down, but they only accept really good contractors, so don't go out there. Beyond that, the idea is that with net metering, it's a one-on-one credit. They roll over typically. They don't roll over year to year, so there's a cutoff point, and the idea is you're overproducing in the spring and fall, offsetting your summer bills and your winter bills when you're not producing as much. Now, currently in ComEd and Ameren territory, and I know it's a long-winded answer, but this is what you're here for, the information, the truth, the facts, the everything. But beyond that, yeah, so the idea is that 100% of your house offset is going to be very challenging because the way the program works currently, whenever you're consuming power from the power grid, you have to pay on the delivery side of things. You can get a rollover supply credit, which is really nice. That's about 33% of your bill. But every bit of power you draw, whether your panels aren't producing as much as your home is consuming, it's dark outside, the batteries are dead, blah, 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 that power you are going to get charged for. So unfortunately, we cannot do like 100% offset for the most part. We don't really specialize in off-grid systems as well. But is it theoretically possible? Absolutely. Is it probable? No.
What I've learned to tell people, everyone that I sign up, we live in the Midwest. We can't control the axis of the sun, especially in the winter months. Sorry, haven't figured out how to do it yet. But What you can do is put damn panels up and have the ability to take the benefit from it. Most people, and I say most, all of our customers love their systems about 9 to 10 months out of the year. And then as soon as December and January roll around, the amount of calls that we get from people just trying to make sure that everything's operating, they are. Every time it's the same thing, but again, it's like cyclic in nature. The winter, you're not necessarily going to get that production. So if anyone ever comes through steamrolling saying that we're going to do 100% the whole time, etc., just be wary of overpromising, and that's again why we do the evaluation that we do.
We need to check these out, Austin, because we're going to keep doing this segment. Need to make sure we.
Well, hit me with one then. What you got for me? We'll do a few each.
Yeah, we'll do 2 each. Sounds good. How many solar panels will I need to run a house, Austin?
It's a great question. Send me your power bill and I'll answer that. No, I mean, not to get political, but I mean, typically, 14 to 20 to 25 panels, depending on what your usage looks like. Some people have EVs, jacuzzis, pools, kids that don't understand how power works, so they leave every damn thing on. Again, every house is a little bit different. A normal house uses about 12 to 15,000 kilowatt hours. I would say our average system is about 11 to 12 kilowatt system, give or take. So yeah, I mean, 20, 22 panels all day long, just depending on, what roof space you have allocated there. But we have this bread and butter, there's a certain amount of panels that are appropriate, 1 to 2 batteries. You do it long enough, you kind of learn that, you can upsize a little bit if you need be, but again, most homes, it's pretty nice to be able to give a simple evaluation. And if you have a flat enough roof or something that we can work with, it's very viable.
Absolutely. My turn.
Oh, all right. Here's a fun one. What is the 20% rule for solar?
So the idea with the 20% rule is to size a system 20% higher than whatever your home consumption is. Now, that is the idea of it. Now, whether we practice it or not and use it as a rule, we do not. There are a lot of things that go into that, and a lot of the time it's more on the net metering side of things and the one-to-one credit side of things, or just a average consumption of power. As I said, we consider ourselves consultants, so we also want to see when you're using that power. If you're using all that power in the winter because you have a geothermal system, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense for you to do 120% of your power offset, because you're just going to be not producing a lot in the winter and using a lot. So that's a part of it. Another part of it is with the way the incentives work now, it's a lot easier to get a better return on investment, dollar for dollar kind of thing, if you're undersizing the system and taking off the peaks and valleys, like, the peaks. So the idea being that you're using pretty much every bit of solar you produce, and there's no feeding it back to the grid. And there's also not a lot of draw from the grid at the times where it's super expensive. So we do more of that model, as well as battery backup to then store that energy. And some people do want to do 120%. Some people want to do 150%. If you're going to be adding on in the future more electrification, which we all will at some point, people do a lot of add-ons, and because it's always going to be the best price now, not in the future when the incentives are less and less. So it's best to get ahead of that if you're going to need it.
That's what I was saying. I do want to make a point here real quick, because I do think it's very fair to say, it's always about what the customer is trying to get out of the system. We will gladly navigate and make sure that we're going an appropriate path and that you're not misconstrued on the information, so that you're making an educated decision. But it's completely okay to do 100% offset. But then in the regard of, and this is where I was kind of thinking of the 20%, the panels do have a degradation rate, guys.
I was getting into that, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure that that's what we got into. And so again, after 30 years, the panels will still be at 85% of their initial production value. I think the
Our panels, but yes.
Yes, ours specifically, but that I'm saying that because people are going with us. But point with that being that, it's not like they just blow up after 30 years, they will continue to go. But the idea is that if you add a couple extra panels, if you do 100% offset today, and then over 30 years, you might find yourself closer to that 80 to 90% offset range, where if you throw on an extra 4 to 6 panels day of and get all the incentives applied, your pennies on the dollar for what you're offsetting, then 30 years down the road, you're still at 100% because you were at 120 down to 100 as opposed to 100 down to 80. So
The only thing I got to add to that is that with the degradation rate of the panels being 15%, it's like a car warranty, right? So they're not going to warranty a car just for 100,000 miles and expect it to break down 1 mile after 100,000, right?
Panels blow up exactly after the 30-year mark.
Exactly. Sorry. There's a lot of research studies from the 1970s and even ones that are coming out currently that the degradation rate of the panels is not really as much as people have expected it to be, and that the panels are actually performing at 90, 95% of their original efficiency. So that's just something to look forward to, that your system isn't going to degrade by 15% over 25 years. Usually we'll only do like a few percentile of lesser production. And that also just comes with the glass getting older, as well as just stuff getting stuck on it. They age just like a car. You sit in a car out in the out your driveway for 25 years and see if it still looks as pretty. But whether it performs or not, odds are it'll crank up.
Right on. Is that our 2 each for today?
I think that's a good place to start. We've been running a little long on this one, and yeah, I think next episode of the Solar Power Hour, we will have names for our new segments. We will be a little bit more organized, but we have had a long, crazy day and a long, crazy week. So
Trial
we
by
just want to
fire.
get you some content out there.
No, and guys, the whole point of this again is to give the feedback to the community. These are all questions that we've gotten from you guys thus far, different sources. And so please, if there's anything that, please ask questions. For the love of God, there is nothing that we can't, dig into. And if you're seeing things, hearing things, or wanting to know more about things in your community, that please, the more stones that we can turn over for you, that's all this is meant to be, is information for you guys to be able to take in, reciprocate, and again, just make smarter decisions about what you guys are doing and not get screwed over by these companies that we are trying to, oh so desperately counter.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you next time for the good, the bad, the ugly of the solar industry on the 29th episode of the Solar Power Hour. And Einstein says peace.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.